Alrighty, morning everyone, and welcome back to another beautiful video on this beautiful channel on another beautiful day. In today's video, we are gonna talk about scrap and whether or not it's worth it to scrap certain stuff out. I've got a lot of examples here for you today. I brought some stuff with me, and we're gonna talk about whether or not this stuff is worth it to scrap, can be worth it to scrap, or is definitely not worth it to scrap. We're gonna go all about prices, what you can pay for it, what you shouldn't pay for it, what is only worth it if you get it for free, and all kinds of stuff like that. And so I think it's going to be really interesting. Besides that, I quickly want to apologize for this shading stuff. The sun is coming through this window, and it's quite a bit of sun today, which is odd, but I guess I'm getting sunshine now as well. Interesting. Not really usual, but anyways, we're going to go with it for today. So let's just go about it in general. What are the criteria that I wanted to implement here to make it a little bit easier for everyone to understand what I'm actually on about? So whether or not something is worth it for you to scrap is obviously very subjective. For me, personally, scrapping stuff for like $10 an hour is already worth it. For you, it might only be worth it if you're making $20 or more an hour. And for someone else around the world, it might be alright if you would make $1 an hour, because there actually are a lot of people on this planet that actually can't make $1 a day. So, yeah, that's a thing. But that's a whole nother difficulty that we're not going to deal with on this channel, definitely. So for me, I would say everything that's not minimum wage, for this example, would not be worth it. It would still be worth it for me personally, but just to like generalize it a little bit, less than minimum wage is not really worth it for me, because obviously every one of you can probably pick up a minimum wage job, like probably tomorrow, you know? So doing this for less than minimum wage is probably not worth it. You do have your own work time, but, you know, might be another thing to consider. But I think we're just going to go about it this way. What you obviously also have to take into consideration, that you shouldn't really have downtime when you're working for yourself. So if you don't have any work for like days, and you still just selling stuff that you could have scrapped out and made more money off of it, and now you're not making any money in this time, it would maybe be useful for you to keep the stuff and scrap it out instead of selling it, because that's where you're gonna just make a lot of money that you wouldn't have made otherwise. I think you kind of can understand what I mean by that, right? I hope. I didn't really did a good job in explaining it, but something like a general idea of that. So we are just gonna get right into the first thing that we are going to talk about, and that is literal scrap. Waste products that arise when you're scrapping stuff out. For example, this is your usual wiring thingamadoodah that you have when you're scrapping out motors, for example. Money motors have this attached to it, and this has got some wires in it, as you can see. It's not really worth anything really. It's got some brass here. You can definitely take these out real quick. You can probably do it by hand. No, you can't do it by hand, but you can definitely do it with some side cutters, and you would have that. But with this stuff, if you're scrapping that out, you're honestly not gonna make basically any money. You would be able to make like, if it's really something exactly like this, you would be able to make like 50 cents an hour. That would be about it. If you can make $1 an hour with this stuff, you would be really good at it. And but these obviously come in different grades. There are some that are really worth it, that got like brass nuts and stuff on it. We scrapped some of them out on this channel as well. And these can definitely come in a way that is worth it. But you can see these wires are so thin, and these brass plates are so tiny. It's really not going to add up for quite some time. But this is definitely something you could just throw into scrap steel, because there is value here. So I would honestly do that. I don't think that this would be worth it to do at all if you can also just get a minimum wage job. I don't think this is going to be worth it. Honestly, this is just something for scrap steel as far as I'm concerned. So the next thing is this. You might think there's a transformer in those, and that is correct, but also not really correct. These are the ones that actually don't have a real transformer inside them. They have a low-grade board inside them with a bigger transformer on them. You know, taking these apart isn't really worth it as well. Low-grade boards cost like not a lot more than scrap steel, at least where I am, and I think around the world it's also not that much of a difference. You can scrap them out, you can depopulate them, you're gonna get way better value out of that. but I don't really know if it's worth it as well. You've got some brass tips here on the plug. You can do that. There's some wires in there. There's some irony aluminum in form of these capacitors. And there's the transformer, obviously, which is worth way more than scrap steel. And the rest you can still just throw into scrap steel. So I would reckon if you're good at it, you could make $1 an hour doing this kinds of stuff. If you've really got a lot of it. Would I do it? Questionable. As I said, $1 an hour, like... that's almost nothing. You're gonna make $10 a day if you're working a really long day. So I would reckon if you've really got downtime, it's fun for you, you don't have anything else to do, and you wouldn't be making money otherwise, do it. But if you've got anything else to do that you could make more money with, I would reckon scrap steel is the way to go on these as well. Honestly, as sad as that may sound, but sometimes you just have to be honest about this stuff, and this is really not worth it. So the next thing I've got is a little bit better. It's this right here. Small little transformers. We have done a video about these as well, and you can make approximately $5 an hour doing those. This particular one, for example, you would have to cut, but that is not real big trouble because it's really easy to cut those and process them. I just wanted to take a look, but this one doesn't have a weld. It's stacked on top of each other, so you would actually have to cut this. But they have good copper value. You're gonna get some good money out of that. As I said, $5 an hour is definitely possible, and I think this is really something you could do if you've got downtime and you don't really have a lot of other stuff to do. Then this is really something you can do. Otherwise, you can just sell them as transformers. That's also all right. If you get them for free, good stuff, you know, always take them. You can just sell them as transformers or scrap them down. Doesn't matter really, but if you get them for free, I would always take those. It's always a really good thing. And it's really like, they are easy to scrap. It's not really hard work, and you can do that in your downtime. Just don't expect it to make you like a lot of money or minimum wage. Nothing really of that. So the next thing that we've got will probably do that. And it's these medium-sized transformers. Honestly, if I compare it with some bigger ones, these are still extremely small transformers, but I'm just going to call it medium-sized transformers because a big transformer kind of starts at like a microwave transformer size. So, at least for me, you know, for you, obviously it doesn't have to, but yeah. So this one is actually a really good one because it's a beater. It usually would have a weld there, it doesn't even have that. So you can just crack this up and get this out of there. With transformers like these, like exactly this one, you could make way more than minimum wage. I would reckon you could actually get up to like $30 an hour doing those. They do have good value and they are very quick to do. If you get them for free, obviously. If you pay for them, obviously not. You're gonna struggle to make minimum wage, but if you get those for free, you're definitely gonna be able to make like $30 an hour with exactly these that you can just beat apart. If they are stacked and like interwoven and stuff like that, and you can't beat them apart, and you have to cut them, whether or not you do that with a chisel or an angle grinder, that doesn't really matter. But that would obviously cut down the amount of money that you could make with them in an hour, because it would take you longer to get the copper out of it. So, yeah, if you get them for free, great stuff. If you don't, I'm not sure if I would buy those. Maybe. You're definitely going to make minimum wage. It's definitely possible to make minimum wage if you pay for them, but it's not guaranteed. And I don't know if I would want that necessarily, but if you get them for free, as I said, you're going to be able to make some really good money with them. So let's now get into copper wire. There's a lot of things that you have to say about copper wire. I already made a good video about copper wire, how you can always make good money with copper wire. Go back a couple of videos and you can find that video and watch it. It's one of the most watched videos on this channel, actually. I don't really know why, honestly, but it's a really good video. Put a lot of effort into it, and I kind of like explain to you what you can pay for each and every kind of wire to still make some good money off of it. So we're gonna go quickly. I'm gonna quickly give you an overview about copper wire. The most stuff that people are probably going to get is this stuff, your normal extension cord kind of wire. This is the stuff that fridges have on them, vacuum cleaners have on them, all kinds of electronic devices have these kinds of wire on it, and you can actually make a good amount of money with those. For me, this stuff is about $2 a kilo, so about like what, $1.2, $1.1 dollars a pound, something like that. And most of you are probably going to get a better price. So if you get this stuff for free, awesome, you're going to be able to make a good amount of money. If you want to pay for it, I wouldn't pay more than 50 cents a pound, honestly. Because it's just stuff that you can scrap this down, but it's not going to increase its value. I've tried that many times before. I've calculated is exactly how much money you're going to make in comparison to how much money it's worth as is. It's not worth it. You can't even make anywhere near minimum wage. I mean, I think the best thing I got, and that was when I had a wire stripper still, back in the days, I think I got like $6 or $7 an hour, stripping this stuff like real fast. And like, this is just not worth it. Sell it if you get it. It doesn't matter for free or if you have to buy it. This is not worth scrapping. It really isn't. So this is really some stuff that you can really buy for a price that still allows you to make some money and then just sell it on. And you know what? Whatever, just pay 70 or 80 cents for it. You're still gonna make some money if you're just selling it the same day, you know. It really only has to pay for the gas you need to go to the scrapyard. So it's really easy. You could probably pay that. I tend not to because I've got too much laying around of this stuff and I don't have a car, so it's really difficult for me to sell it. But yeah, something like that, you know, just pay that and that's alright as well. Let's continue with this stuff, for example. This is basically the stuff that is inside of that wire, and this wire was 33% copper. Actually, I didn't even say that, but you know, this is about 70 to... No, let's just say 60 to 70. 60 to 70% copper, that's what it's in here. If you get it for free, strip it down. It's worth way more stripped than it is as is. And if you want to pay for it, well, I would say like $1.5 a pound, maybe. Not really, honestly. I mean, more like 1.2, 1.3. But you can calculate it out for the specific wire that you can get and then just pay accordingly to that. Not every wire is the same, so you kind of just have to take a look at your wire and the wire that you can get and then figure out what you want to pay for it or what you can realistically pay for it. Let's put it that way. But this stuff, you can definitely make some good money if you get it for free, and you can also definitely get some good money if you buy it from people. You just have to buy it for the right price, that's for sure. So let's now move on to the last thing I want to talk with you about, and this is this kind of wire. That's the 80% plus wire, really good copper wire. You can buy this stuff for, I think, like, I would probably pay up to $3 a pound, honestly. For this. Oh, well, no, that's a little bit overkill. I think like $2.50 a pound. That would be something I would still be willing to pay. You're not going to make a terrible amount of money on it, but it's very easy to scrap, and it's really like this stuff. So cool. You know, you're gonna get top dollar at any scrapyard around the world for Millbury copper, and you know, this stuff you can really make some good money with it. If you can get that for free, obviously, wow. I mean, I can't get that for free, really. So if you get that for free, awesome stuff. You really did good, and yeah, you're gonna make some really good money. If you can get a lot of it, well, I don't think you need to really worry about scrapping any other stuff, honestly. With like stripping both of those, I think with this, if you're stripping it by hand, $20 an hour is not really that far off. And if you're doing it with a wire stripper, you know, you can get it up to like $40 maybe an hour. And if you've got stuff like this, you know, it's basically limitless. If you get it for free and you've got a wire stripper, you could probably make like $2,000 an hour. And I'm not even kidding you. You could, but most of us aren't gonna get that for free in a very big quantity. So you're probably gonna have to pay for it. But still, I think $30-40 an hour is definitely possible with that stuff. So yeah, that's about it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed. As always, if you've got any more questions whatsoever, write them in the comments below. I'd be very glad to answer them as always. And if you don't mind, give the video like a rating with like a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you might want to do. And also, if you want to, you can subscribe to the channel. And so I think that makes it easier to not miss videos and stuff like that. It's a really cool thing. So if you want to do that as well. And thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic week, and until next time.